Welcome to Organizing Life's Daily Demands. My name is Peter Gordon, and I'm the president of New York Financial Organizers. We're daily money managers. We help people pay their bills, file insurance claims, do all the non-investment side of personal finance. Essentially, we like to say we help them organizing their life's financial demands. And the purpose of this podcast is to introduce people I know who help in other aspects of organizing life's daily demands. And today I'm really happy to be talking with Deborah Yelvington. She's the founder of Dynamic Permits. We know each other from a wonderful group that we belong to called Video Socials, and I've been hearing all about her business for years, and I'm excited to have her share it in this venue. Hi, Deb. Welcome.
Hi, Peter. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast because I appreciate you and your business and what you do for people. Thanks. So it's really a joy.
Thanks. Yeah, no, and I've always admired your work, and so I know that you provide a great service, and that's why we're here. So why don't you tell us about a little bit about yourself, and then how you got into founding Dynamic Permits.
Yeah, and it's funny because often I have clients that ask me that because Dynamic Permits, the goal is to expedite building permits. And many homeowners, business owners for residential commercial work don't know that such a thing exists. So for many years after college, I worked for a structural engineer and then also several architects. And I had gotten introduced to the building permit process through the local municipalities, and that the government body requires every township to have laws in place so that people can build and probably have inspections done to protect homeowners and business owners. And I enjoyed stepping into that space and advocating for my clients. I got to be that go-between, kind of their, the homeowner's buddy, and also get to know the government officials and play that nice role in between and be the advocate for them.
That's great. Yeah. And so how do you assist homeowners in preparing to sell their home?
Yes, many times when homeowners are right near the closing date, the closing attorney or a buyer or realtor may come up against an open permit or a structure on a property that is missing a proper permit. And then the buyer, of course, is cautioned by their attorney to not go forward with the closing until the proper documentation is filed. So we will get a call and saying, can you help us? We're down to the wire. So we need potentially a building permit filed even for things that were built without a permit or for open permits that were done by contractors or homeowners and were never properly closed out. Very often.
Yeah, what does that mean, closing out a permit?
It's once the inspections are done. For example, swimming pools, this happens to a lot. Homeowners are getting in a swimming pool installed into their yard. It's a great joy, great family time. And they understand that they signed something, and the pool contractor will usually help and make sure that permit is in place before they start digging in the yard to put the pool in. Then the homeowner will check it out. They're watching the process. They understand that an inspector from the building department has come. Usually they get a thumbs up. Everything's looking good with the installation, and they go their way. When the contractor's done, they often hand over a pile of paper to the homeowner and say, okay, this is your documents about the pool. Just remember your final property survey that now shows where the pool is located needs to be submitted. The homeowners say, yeah, they're having a pool party the next weekend, and they kind of forget about it. And they're like, I remember that we had our inspections passed. So when it comes time to close in the house, they're like, what? The pool doesn't have a CO. How could that happen? I remember the inspector being there. So the documents all have to be filed in a certain sequence. Things have to be crossed off before a final CO or certificate of occupancy can be issued, and that is closing out the permit. Otherwise, you have a permit that either gets expired or is just held, kind of open with that building department, and it's not properly transferable, and it's not ready, and the attorneys will usually have an issue with that. So we encourage all homeowners that are preparing to sell their home to get that updated property survey out, send it to a permit professional, and have all that verified. Because believe it or not, your closing attorney does not check through all that.
Oh,
You don't have
I believe it.
experience. So once homeowners understand that a title search does not cover that, then they realize, okay, yes, I need help because I don't want to be stuck in my closing. Usually they've bought another house location to go to, and they've got to get there, and they don't want to delay in selling their home.
On occasion that we help people, we work with estates that have houses that need to be sold. If there's like I've run into this where there's a property that has actually like let's say a garage that was built years and years ago, and nobody knows about it, and didn't have a permit. What is that involved? How is that taken care of?
Yeah. Similar, and a property can be prepared to be transferred, or for parents that are aware and they want to bequeath that property to their children or other relatives. It is, again, good to have a property survey updated, drawn up by a licensed land surveyor, and then have a permit professional look into that. We have a lot of those cases where it comes about that the adult children of a parent who has passed away is coming and saying, we were just getting ready to sell this property. And then suddenly it did pop up to someone's attention before the closing could take place, that garage or that shed, anything else on the property that requires a permit, shows that something was not completed properly. So the property then can't be transferred, and the children have to, carry that property until it's ready to be sold. So
what's the process then? They find out, okay, this garage was not done properly. They have to inspect it, and if it's not up to code, they have to redo it.
Sometimes there is structural work that has to be done, right? So the first step again is the property survey. The permit professional will prepare the application to the building department, take photographs of whatever structure was done, often have plans prepared. Sometimes it can be by a draftsman. Sometimes a licensed design professional, like engineer or architect, has to prepare and seal a plan for the building department. And then the officials will come out and inspect it. And if they think the structure is not up to snuff, or there's superimposed loads that maybe are not accounted for, there's times where extra structure has to be added.
Right.
It's remedial work that the timeline has to be prepared for that. There's cost involved. And then the inspector will come out again when it's completed and then say, okay, now it's ready to go forward, and have that final certificate of occupancy or certificate of completion issued.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned about people wanting to put their children in, allow their children to inherit their property. So let's talk about that. What happens if you inherit a property or a problem?
Yeah. Often these children, adult children, contact us, and they're not understanding because they're saying, my parent, my father, my mother always did everything by the book. Or I remember that they were converting our garage to a family room, and I know that he always did permits, inspections. He did everything by the book. I've heard that a lot, and I know they're very sincere, these children, and those parents were sincere in their attempts. But again, without being a professional in the industry, they missed some steps, because when we go and do the research, we find out that they may have an application that was never completed for a permit, or there was a permit taken out, but it expired and they didn't finish all the inspections or the property survey. So we just go back and reinitiate everything to close up those gaps. We'll make sure a new survey is done, the plans, we have professionals that we can refer, and we make sure it's submitted to the building department. And then we follow through and make sure that the building department is going out for inspection that everything is passed on that. And if it's not, we further explain, because government officials don't always go into great detail when they just tell you, no, you're not getting approved. And we explain to them what these coded words mean, or these phrases from the building department, so that they can get professionals in there to fix something and then have it re-inspected. And then we want that final certificate issued at the end. So yeah, you can inherit, property or a problem depending. And the best thing always is preparation. And if parents will do that on their property, get a permit professional to just check through and make sure that it's a great blessing then to, bequeath that to your children with all the problems resolved.
Yeah. The issue is people are not going to think about that. Most people won't have that in mind. But if you have a good trust and estate attorney, a really good trust and estate attorney who can see, forward, they could bring that up. So.
Yes. Yeah. And I know you've stated that many of your clients, especially in their senior years, there's a lot, they depend on you for dealing with their finances. And if they have a property in their name, if they're not in a facility, if they're not, in a rental situation, that's the number one. That's why we work with people like you who can say, hey, have you verified that property is ready to go to your children?
Right. And then you deal with contractors quite a bit, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, talk about how you can help people deal with contractors, because they're not always easy to deal with.
Yeah. A lot of our clients are busy professionals, and it seems the world we live in, for the, economic reasons, everybody is running out of time. They're working, even longer hours, and they're smart professionals, but again, it's not their industry. So when they want to renovate their home, their kitchen, an addition, and they go through referrals, they find a good contractor. And this happens with good contractors too. There's just, everybody doesn't speak the same language. And you need somebody who will advocate for the homeowner, like a permit professional, that makes sure the plans that got approved from the building department are the ones that the contractor has in the field. And then to make sure the inspectors are coming out and checking the work of the contractor and signing off all along the way. You have, excavation, foundations with the footings, you have framing, you have insulation. All those steps in construction have to be checked off. A homeowner often is like, well, they're working out there and I think they're coming up with good results. So I'm just assuming that everything is getting signed off on. And then there's sometimes a point where there's a lag, or the contractor gets called away to another location. And you're like, wait a minute, I've been making these payments, and now it seems like I'm way ahead and there's a lot more work to be done. And you need really somebody to advocate again for you, to say how much work is left to do, where your payments were, and what's holding that contractor up, and to interpret any inspection reports. So if your contractor was said that's not quite good enough, what has to be fixed to pass inspection.
That's great.
Yeah. And again, our ultimate goal is to complete the project, close out the permit by the homeowner or property owner obtaining a certificate of occupancy, because that's what should be in line when you go to either sell the property in the future or bequeath it to somebody. You want to have all those documents signed off and issued already.
Do you have a typical client?
I would say,
I always hate when people ask me that question, by the way, but there is a range,
I think, and it's very similar. 50% of ours are probably like yours. They're seniors who are getting ready to close out estates or have their life sequence, and they either can't keep up with everything. They know that there's a gap. I had a client who's a nurse, and she's still working part-time. Her husband already passed away, and she knew he was in charge of getting the permits done for the rear deck, for the finished basement. And all of a sudden he passed, and then they're getting ready to sell the house now. And she's like, wait, what do you mean that's not closed out? She went to the building department for her municipality, and she's a very educated nurse. She's like, I deal with these important issues all the time. And I am sitting there crying at the building department. I'm overwhelmed because I don't understand all the gaps and how many different things are required to close out these several permits. So we have an awful lot of those types of clients that need help to close out their property so that they can be transferred. The other half of our clients are, again, the busy professionals, or people with kids and jobs and properties and the dog and the cat. And, you know, if they're renovating their home or had started something and they need help closing it out, sometimes we get calls from homeowners who just say, you know, we had the permit, but the inspections didn't pass. We need help closing this. It's just too much on our plate right now. And we can jump right in and help them to see what needs to be done and take care of much of it without them having to be involved, and connect in all the right professionals to get their final certificate of occupancy so the permit is closed out.
That's great. That's great. And generally, how do people find you?
Many of them are word of mouth through attorneys, architects, engineers, professionals like yourself. And then sometimes it's online Google search. When they're looking for building permits, dynamic permits often, you know, pops up there at the top. Plus we have way over 100 YouTube videos online to educate homeowners and also commercial property owners, because tenants or business owners going into a new office space can run into the same problem. If they don't realize what's required for their new tenant building a space, they can't put their business in there and get started until the permit is in place.
That's great. This has been very educational. Your name and number will be in the info for both the video and the podcast, but tell us the best way for people to get in touch with you.
Yep, we encourage them to reach out through the dynamicpermits.com website, because there's a nice big button that you can just click, you know, for a no-cost consultation, and we'll take in some of their information and give them a nice phone consultation to see where they're at and see that we can get them on the right track. We want to keep them out of that permit pickle and get everything resolved.
That's the first you mentioned, the permit pickle. So
Yeah,
we didn't put that in the beginning. So you have a lot of videos, and I assume they're also on a video YouTube page. You have a YouTube page?
It's Dynamic Permits again. Yep.
That's great. So anybody interested, and even if you're not interested, please like that page, because that's a big help to Dynamic Permits. Okay, Deb, thank you so much. That was really great. I've been looking forward to it for a long time, because I know the great service you offer. And, you know, I like to say that we're an expert, you know, in helping people with their daily financial, non-investment related matters. But we also know the experts in other areas, and you're certainly an expert in a very important area. And it's, you know, so critical for people to ask for help. And
yes.
so,
right. Yep.
This is really great.
We want to be their buddy. We want to be their advocate and help them through that process for all property owners. Really, it's
actually, I like that, as opposed to I know the other advocates as opposed to the other experts. That's another way of saying it. It's great. Okay, thanks very much, Deb.
Thank you, Peter. See you next time.
Very good, and see everybody else next time. Bye now.